hello, and welcome to the Irish Arsenal GOONER podcast. It's Tuesday, the 18th of January. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. On this week's show, I'm joined by my regular guests and Arsenal season ticket holders, John Melia and Eamonn Donnelly. How are you, lads?
Evening, Johnny.
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, Eric. I hear you're over in Sweden there.
Tonight, we're joined by a new guest and an American side of things, Eric Shadowens. How are you, Eric?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully the first of many. Or the first and last, maybe, depending on how the next half hour or so goes. But it's nice of you to join us from Stockholm, I believe. So thanks for taking time, Eric, tonight for joining us on the show. On tonight's show, we'll be reviewing our 0-0 draw with Liverpool in the Carabao Cup first leg. We'll also be previewing the forthcoming second leg, which is this Thursday night at home against Liverpool, all going well. COVID and injury free, obviously, after the cancellation of Sunday's North London derby against Spurs. We'll also be previewing our upcoming Premier League fixture against Burnley at home this Sunday, a 2:00 kickoff. And as far as I know, it isn't being televised at all. But we'll confirm that at the end of the show. And also, we'll be talking some January transfer news. And as in the last hour or two, Sead Kolasinac has gone on loan and on an 80-month loan deal to French League One side Marseille. And we'll be talking about the loan watch feature, what we normally do as well with the players that we have on loan. So that's coming up at the end of the show. So I hope you like the next half hour or so. So we'll dig into it as always. You can catch our show just before we start. Sorry, you can catch our show on SoundCloud and Spotify, and you can catch out our episodes going back as far as March on SoundCloud and also on Spotify. So the more listeners, the merrier, as we all say. So we begin with last Thursday's 0-0 draw at Anfield in the Carabao Cup Semi Final first leg. Of course, the main talking point was Granit Xhaka getting sent off. Quite annoying, really. Again, it had to be him to be sent off, but look, it was a tackle he had to be made. I think Jota made the most of it, but I think if Jota was one-on-one with Ramsdale, it probably would have been a goal. So in hindsight, I think it was a good tackle to make, but it killed the game as a spectacle really after that, I think. But the way we defended in the second half was really courageous. I thought the players put their bodies on the line when they needed to and made Liverpool very ordinary. And to get a 0-0 draw and to come out with not conceding a goal at Anfield, I thought was quite remarkable, down to 10 men as well. But I thought it was a really, really good defensive display in the second half, and thoroughly deserved to get the draw out of it. I don't want to come to John Melia. What did you make of the match last Thursday, John?
I predicted that both sides would put out probably the strongest team they could have, and I think that proved. I thought the sending off, it was really unfortunate because I thought the game was opening up, but about the 5 minutes beforehand, it was really going end to end. Both sides were going for the win, and I thought we were in for a cracking cup match. The Arsenal fans were outstanding. I mean, you could hear them in the opening stages, and they matched everything that Anfield threw at them. And I thought we were going to be in for a cracking cup match. The sending off, to be brutally honest, it was a sending off. But we were caught out. We were pressing high. We were trying to win the ball back in the Liverpool half. And in fairness to Xhaka, he saw the danger. He tracked Jota back. Now, this is something myself and Eric have spoke about a number of times. We need someone more athletic there. He jogged back. He knew where Jota was, but he didn't have that turn of pace just to match him stride for stride. I think if he had, he would have easily won the header and just knocked it away, or maybe even knocked it back to Ramsdale. Even at that, he had an option of letting the ball go over his head and trying to react to the touch, because Jota still had a difficult job trying to control that, and he still had Ramsdale to be. It wasn't a foregone conclusion, John, that it was going to be a goal, and Xhaka would have been able to react to the attempted control of the ball from Jota. But he made his decision, made a complete arse of it, and got sent off. I'm not going to criticise him too heavily. He was doing his job. He was backing up the left back and Gabriel. If you want to criticise anyone, maybe Gabriel was pressing too high. But I'm not going to overly criticise Xhaka too much. He made a decision, didn't come off, sending off. But after that, what a back to the wall performance! It was outstanding. I felt for Eddie. I mean, he was the one sacrificed so we could bring on the third centre half, and that turned out to be a great decision to play with three at the back. I don't think Holding particularly covered himself particularly well in his previous game against Forest. But with the two other centre halves beside him, I thought the three centre halves was absolutely superb. Ben White in the night was fantastic. I thought Lacazette led the team. Never mind the line. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and he was ably assisted by Saka and Martinelli and everybody else. In fairness, put in a fantastic shit. The limit Liverpool to officially one shot on target when they're down to 10 men in a club semi final at Anfield says a lot. And the best chance of the game, Minamino, that picture of Ben White laughing his head off. It's one of those ones you want to get framed and signed. A really, really fantastic defensive performance. Sets up for an exciting night on Thursday night at the Emirates if the game goes ahead.
Yeah, it's just before I move on to Eamonn, it's just I think Xhaka, where the red card was concerned, John, he had a quick glance out with Ramsdale running out, and I think he just said it was just a split decision. Look, I have to take him out here because I think he's on it. I think he's on to go in and score. I think he just had a quick glance at Ramsdale running out. That's when he decided to clean out. Really, Eamonn, what did you make of the match?
Well, I disagree slightly on the sending off. I thought Xhaka, I get John's point about him not being athletic enough to cover that. I actually thought he got himself into a bad position.
Yeah,
yeah. I think he probably he knew where the danger was, and I think if he'd have just forgot about kind of playing a line and gone on his shoulder, I think the option of the ball in the first place he wouldn't have been able to pick him out, right? So I just think that, and because he's not natural in that position, he did the hard bit by actually being in the proper area of the pitch.
Yeah.
But I think he could have got touch tight, which would have cut out the pass. On the tackle itself, I wouldn't share your view, Jonathan, that he decided he had to do that. He was looking clearly at the ball. And he literally, in a spin, threw his leg up in the hope of getting the ball. Now, if anything, it might have been misjudged rather than, I don't think he went to take the man because I think he would have known the consequences.
Do you think it was Jota's pace
maybe, but again, if you're covering in that position and there's only, you see, Jota was the only man forward in that position. So there's no need for an offside line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you get touched tight to him, because Jota can't sprint, because he sprints into an offside position. So I think Xhaka could have got a bit more touch tight, and the option of the pass wouldn't have been on. Right? That's number two. Everybody says, it's a sending off. I wouldn't have, I would have been probably screaming at the other end if it had been us for a sending off. But I look at Johnny Evans against us, which was more of a sending off. And again, basically, we have got absolutely ridden with decisions this season, And I spoke last week about Tommy Esser's kick in the face, the assault by MacArthur. The Johnny Evans was another one where the Man City defender got sent off the same day, right? And Johnny Evans too. I think it was Saka. Was it? He took him clean out. He took him clean out. So no argument with the sending off. But if he hadn't been sent off, I think that there are other tackles that didn't get that type of punishment this season. And of course, you wear the Granit Xhaka badge, you get Granit Xhaka treatment in much the same way as Mathieu Flamini did. Many times did you see Mathieu Flamini make one kind of a industrial tackle, and he was straight into the yellow card, where Paul Scholes could do it all day, right? So again, I think Ramsdale didn't help. I think he was indecisive, and I think he's usually vocal. I didn't think that was his best moment. In relation to the rest of the game, we were brave, but you know what? Apart from the heroics, by limiting them to one shot, we were actually quite good on the ball. Insofar as, and there was a few times, you know, in that game where, probably because we were a bit leggy, we nearly got the ball out to Martinelli, and he was away on a hack out on the left-hand side a few times, you know, just a finer pass to him. I thought what we tried to do on the counter-attack was very energetic. Saka was put in beautifully, a bit of a heavy first touch, could have lifted it over the keeper, you know, but absolutely no complaints. I was following after the event some of the nonsense that goes up on Twitter, you know, and all this type of stuff. You know, in mid-game, I don't know how fellas watch the game if they're texting the whole time. I just don't get that, you know. But no, we need a big name manager, and you know, we're doomed, and we're that, and we're this, and that. You know, all this type of carry on. You know, I mean, in the middle of a game, and you know what? That game was, and epitomised by Ben White in particular.
Yeah,
An
yeah,
absolute
100%.
brotherhood of a performance in the most adverse circumstances. And you could see it gave Klopp a sour puss, which I was delighted about, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
We didn't have all that, you know, had to look at all that tooth polish and all of that type of thing. So, you know, second game, which will go ahead, by the way. After all the punishment we took over the weekend, there's no way we're getting a cancellation on Thursday. And we'll talk about that in a while. But the second leg will be a different ball game altogether. It's a bit like, you know, I'll finish one and let Eric in now. What I was saying afterwards, it just goes to prove that take their two worldies out, and we're as good as they are, right?
Yeah.
Now that's a bit like saying Chelsea, the year of the Invincibles, were as good as the Arsenal if we took out Bergkamp and Henry, you know. But you know, I think the point that I've made, I think our squad is as good as theirs, and you know, the removal of Mane and Salah pegs them back to our level, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a good throwback, you know.
Yeah, I thought after the 4-0 thumper we had in November, we wanted to go out and show ourselves, and I think the lads really did more than good after the red card. Yeah. Now with the American side of things, Eric, what did you make of the match?
Yeah, so I think obviously the big talking point is the red card that we've gone over a lot. I think interestingly the Ramsdale point makes a lot of sense to me, where he sort of got caught in between. And instead of going for it, he held back, which then I think meant he went for everything the rest of the match. But I think that was certainly a point where Xhaka got caught out, and he had to make a choice. He either had to try to win the ball, in which case he risked a red card, and that's what he ended up doing. I was sort of disappointed he left his feet. I thought, you know, to John's point, that it wasn't a foregone conclusion he was going to score. And I think he could have stayed on his feet and tried to manage the situation a bit more. And, you know, I take the point that it didn't have to be a red card. I just think when your foot gets that high, you sort of know what you're running the risk of. So I think ultimately, like, you can't really have complaints on the red card, though I take the point that Eamonn made. I mean, it's the harshest possible decision we could have gotten there. And certainly, you know, that's what ended up happening. Outside of that, I thought everything good we did going forward went through Saka. After that, he really was the person that provided technical security. So that when the ball came out, he was the one who provided any sort of possession and relief. And then, you know, obviously he had the one big moment that it's too bad he took a heavy touch, but certainly could have added to his tally there. So, To my mind, I think the defensive performances are the big one. I mean, the amount of running Martinelli put in was significant. It was really serious stuff. I mean, he looked dead on his feet after the match. So probably best that we didn't have the match over the weekend anyway. But I think credit to the team, even the guys like Holding who came in and probably is at his best when he's sitting in a deep block and just focused on clearing the ball. I think he really helped to kind of solidify things, keep everything in front of them, and overall, as far as performances go, once you're down to 10 men, it sort of is what it is. You have to keep it tight. But we've also, I think, criticized the team previous to this for maybe not keeping it tight when going down to 10 men. So it was good to see kind of the effort there and the organization. But to John's point, it's disappointing. I thought we were in for a really serious match. Up to the point of the red card. I think what's actually really interesting is we tried to repress them, right? We actually really focused in on pressing them high, and that's where their goal comes from, because they broke the press and we didn't have anybody to stop the long ball over top, and then they were able to hit us on the counter. But I think the energy levels of both teams was really high, and it would have been a great game without the red. Yeah,
it's very rare that we go to Anfield and you don't see any goals being scored. I don't know when the last time there was a nil at Anfield, but definitely the red card ruined the game as a whole, really, as a competitive. First getting anything out of it, but look, to come out at Anfield nil in a first leg of a cup competition, I would have bit your hand off. If we were given that at the start of the game, you said we'd be down to 10 men before half time. So that brings us nicely into the preview now of Thursday's second leg, which is live on Sky Sports, of course, 7:45 kickoff. Being at the Emirates, you'd assume that we'll beat Liverpool. It's going to be a tough game. There won't be any rollover, that's for sure. But I'll be very confident of us beating them. If it did go to extra time or penalties, that we'll get through it. I can see us winning 2-0. Liverpool are no great shakes, I think they'd failed. I think they're suffering from the January blues like ourselves at the moment. I think they'll get a COVID bout in the next 2 days and they'll be down to 16, 17-year-olds in field. No, I can see us going through, lads. You probably won't see me on the show next week if we got hammered Thursday, but no, I'd be very confident of us getting through over the 90 minutes or extra time. I don't want to go to Eamonn. What do you think?
Well,
aside of them not being no great shakes,
I'm thinking to sending you off to confession for putting a John on us. That's the first thing. Look, it's going to be a different game, and cup football is different, right? It's not like a league game, so. I'd expect Arsenal to be a bit more cagey than say going after it, because we're not chasing a deficit. I think we need to let the game play out and balance, because as I say, if you take Mane and Salah out of that team, you've got a lot less worry about being absolutely speared on the counter-attack, right?
That's one worry.
The second thing is, and it depends on who's playing, Jonathan. The second thing is, it depends on who we have in midfield. But their midfield, you see, without Salah and Mane, their midfield is not that creative, right?
You saw that on Thursday.
Jordan Henderson will get up and down, and he'll do right or over stuff, and he's neat and tidy. But without Thiago Alcantara, they don't have a slicer opener type of guy. So they tend to rely on a quick counter to Mane and Salah, who are capable of picking the ball up in the most innocuous positions and creating danger in a second or two, right? So I think it'll be more of a chess game than what we were seeing in the first 15 minutes up in Anfield, where it was helter skelter. I mean, going back to Anfield, I mean, if Nketiah scores, Xhaka doesn't get sent off, you know. But look, it really depends on what type of personnel we have. My information, by the way, is that Smith Rowe and Tomiyasu have a real chance. You know, that would help. That would really help. You know, central midfield, Odegaard should be back. You know, central midfield were light. So, but you know, we face different challenges, and we have a chance. We have a real chance. But I wouldn't probably be as upbeat as yourself, Jonathan. But we have a real chance. You know,
Mr. Optimistic.
if we can
here,
avoid going
so
6-0 down in the first 15 minutes, I think we're in for the show. You know,
the Arteta out brigade will be being called, no doubt, after the first half.
I'm sure they have your number.
Yeah, if Ramsdale doesn't get my man of the match, we're in trouble. John, how do you see Thursday night's game going? It's not to be tough.
Well, I definitely think it's going to be tougher than you do. I'll tell you that much.
I'm thinking 1989. That's
looking at we brought a couple of kids back from loan. Aziz has played midfield for Portsmouth all season, but I'll be amazed if he starts him in this game. I actually think we might go three at the back. Odegaard may play in midfield with the Conga, and then Saka, Lacazette, and Martinelli again up front. So I won't be surprised to see three centre halves playing back and play the two wing backs. He's done it before when we won the cup, and it worked out well. I think again, like game, and I think it'll be a more of a cagey game. As I said, the beginning of that game in Anfield, I thought it was going to be an end-to-end game. It set up that way. I really thought we were in for a classic cup match. This is a one-off game now. Both sides will be a little bit cagey. Liverpool won't want to go to extra time with penalties. Fairness, I don't think Arsenal wanted to go to extra time with penalties either. But I think it'll be a much more cagey game. I agree with Eamonn on that one. It'd be great if we got Tomiyasu back. It'd be great if we got Smith Rowe at least available to be on the bench. I think it'd be an interesting watch. I don't think it'd be the exciting gung-ho game I thought we were in for at Anfield. They still have danger. Liverpool can still press teams off the pitch. They mightn't have the cutting edge of Sané and Mane, but they're still a dangerous side. So I look forward to watching it, see what happens. I think I want to say we're going to win it. I'd love to see us doing it, but I definitely don't think it's going to be as easy as you think so, Johnny.
There's one thing that we always get when we watch Arsenal Liverpool, and that's entertainment and goals. Eric, how do you see Thursday night's game going? Do you see goals galore?
So I think the big question is who's available. You know, like that is the overarching question. Like, it's so hard to say, oh yeah, we're going to play this way when I don't even know other than Lokonga who we have to play in the midfield. So, you know, if it's Lokonga and Ben White, yeah, we'll probably be very cagey. If it's Lokonga, Smith Rowe, and Odegaard, we might be a bit more adventurous. So it's a bit difficult to say. I do think that one of the things that I had totally forgotten before Thursday about the League Cup is that there's 5 subs. So I could definitely see a more conservative approach to start and then open it up with some attacking subs towards the end, sort of depending on how the match goes. So I would tend to believe that a KG start is at least in line, and then you might see a frantic last 30 minutes as both teams certainly don't want to go to the extra time. But yeah, I think selection is the big question. Who's actually healthy? Who can play for 90 minutes? You know, all of those things will play a pretty huge role here, considering, you know, presumably we didn't actually have enough players for this previous weekend.
Now, as always, as we're previewing games, we always have to get a prediction, and as always, they're always very optimistic ones. I'm going with 2-0. I'm going to go to John. Your prediction?
I predict I'm going to watch the match and I'm not going to say anything else.
That's a very conservative approach.
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
Eamonn, as optimistic as you always are, I assume you're going for a mad result.
Well, I mean, the way they were talking about us after the weekend, I think Sky Sports are wishing the bubonic plague on the Arsenal squad. No, I think my prediction is, I hope Ramsdale, if he's in goal, is practicing and saving penalties.
Eric, I know your prediction is that we'll have an 11 to field on the night, but what's the score prediction?
I agree with Amo. I think it's going to penalties. I think
We're
there's a
living
good chance
dangerous now, lads.
this is 1-1 going to penalties. That's sort of where I see this.
So you don't see it going like 1989, where Mickey Thomas gets off the bench and scores in the last one.
I won't be Mickey Thomas.
You never know. There might be a place in the bench for him yet. Where he's going. Thomas!
We do it again.
Here we go.
That's a good looking ball by Dixon to Smith. There goes Thomas charging to the midfield. Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Yay.
Brian Moore, move aside. We've got our very own Eamonn Donnelly here in the mic. Yeah. Now, with that out of the way, and we're all going for an Arsenal win, in hindsight, we'd probably be talking about defeat. But all roads lead to Wembley, of course, the end of February, and hopefully we'll be underneath the Wembley Arch in the day. Chelsea have already made the final. They beat Spurs, thank God. And that's going to be a tough final. Because Chelsea, as we know, are always good in finals. So be a great final anyway, either way. But hopefully we're in that come the end of February, and we'll be reviewing that on next week's show. So fingers crossed that we get through against Liverpool on Thursday night. That brings us to the preview of Sunday's Premier League game, all going well against Burnley at home. 2:00 kickoff on Sunday. Burnley's game tonight has been cancelled again due to, I think, injuries and COVID, obviously. They have 5 games as it stands in hand. I can't see the game on Sunday being postponed because they just have a backlog of games. The last time we met Burnley was back in September. Martin Odegaard scored a cracking free kick to win the game 1-0. I can take Burnley are there for the take, and I think they in my opinion, I think they'd be relegated. I think they've gone the season one too far, not investing in the squad and relying on the same 11, 12 players to get them through to safety. So I can see us winning that one quite comfortably on Sunday. I'll go to Eric this time. How do you see the game going on Sunday, Eric?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think this is a match that Arsenal should win and should win comfortably. I think it's one that we need to start strong and try to blitz them early and kill the game off. Particularly, after Burnley's gone and sold their main striker over to Newcastle. Unless they're going to reinvest before Sunday, I just think that it's a team that lacks goals and lacks threat, and this is a match that Arsenal needs to go to win and go to dominate, and really push them back and take a lot of shots. So that would be the way I see this match going. Is Arsenal really going big in the first half to try to kill the game off early?
Yeah, I can see the high press killing Burnley. Yeah, and we've got the pace against Burnley as well. Yeah. John, how do you see the game going on Sunday?
Yeah, I agree with Eric. It's a game we should win. It's a game we should win comfortably. It's a game I want to see us start on the front foot, push them back and keep them back, get their foot on their throats and keep it there. This team is well capable of doing that to this Burnley team. This is Burnley has slowly but surely, as the last few seasons have just got worse and worse. There's very few goals in this team. They got a great price for their striker, who hasn't scored a hell of a lot of goals in the season, and would go to Newcastle. I don't know who they're going to bring in that's better than him before Sunday. You never know, could surprise us. But it's a game we should be looking to win comfortably by a couple of goals.
Yeah, before I move on to him, there is one player that Burnley do possess, and he's done pretty well. He's a new signing, Maxwell Cornet. If he's fit, he can cause problems. All right, he's got pace to Burnley. He can fairly finish a good goal as well. Eamonn, how do you see the game going?
Don't know about that there, Jonathan. Well, I'm not actually seeing it like the other guys.
Surprise,
because
surprise.
I think it depends on how much we spill emotionally and physically on Thursday, right? Because I mean, Jesus, if Burnley are playing, if they're not fresh, well then Brennan's bread is a problem here, because Jesus, like they haven't played since 1972, But I agree. There's not a lot of goals in him. But the one thing about Sean Dyche is he has this traditional Tony Pulis, Arsenal don't like it up them philosophy.
Yeah, I see.
And
Yeah.
physically, they will present a challenge to us, right? You might remember last season, didn't Granit Xhaka get sent off? And we were kind of dominating them without doing too much. We were dominating them without that, and then they got a set piece and a waxy goal, and we just couldn't break them down. And they were very physically strong that day. I remember the season before. I think it was the opening home game of this season. Danny Ceballos played brilliantly. We were saying this guy is a genius, but we still struggled to beat them. We've struggled with them. Now I think we're well capable of handling Burnley. You'd like to think that, but I just think that let's see where we are on Friday morning and what we have. If looking at the way Burnley are getting games called off, they should be, I don't know who they have either, but COVID can't be that long. I mean, Jesus, the number of COVID cases in the Premiership is decreasing week on week now, right? A bit like over here. So, look, a straw poll in my head says, yes, we'll go out and we'll dominate them and we'll do enough because we're way better than them and that. But I just have a concern about where we land up emotionally and physically come Friday morning.
Yeah, they are. I agree with you, Eamon. They are a physical team, all right. Burnley. They try to kick us off the pitch, all right. But I think we'll have too much for them.
They leave something in, Jonathan. They're the best
do.
team.
They're a dirty team.
Leaving something in,
Tarkowski and me are a very good centre-back pairing, but what Burnley lack is pace. They're very sluggish as a team. There's no one there that can. They're good at set pieces, all right, but I honestly can't see a problem there. If you can't beat Burnley, well, Arteta has to walk.
I heard they signed Usain Bolt in the. Arteta. Can I come back on that last one? Arteta has to walk.
I'm saying that, of course.
Where are we going? Where are we going with this? Because
you were to force him to say it when you joined the show. I want him out.
I mean, as I said, I heard some of this clamour for the big name manager. Well, then, if you want the big name manager, get Hasenhüttl. There's 12 letters in that,
Eric, how do you see Arteta yourself? Are you an Arteta man?
I think I definitely have had significant concerns over his time because especially last season and early this season, we just haven't created enough chances, haven't scored enough goals. I would say I've been looking at the last while and thinking we've seen promising signs, right? We're scoring more goals, we're taking more shots. Yeah. And just overall, we look more likely to score goals, and that's progress. Now, the devil is whether or not we can keep that going and whether or not we can be consistent in chance creation, right? And I think overall, that's the big question. But I think right now he's earned his way through the rest of the season to show he can continue to do that, continue to score goals and create chances because we've been pretty solid under him. We're not giving up too many goals, and I think the next step in progression in the team is to create enough chances to finish in the top four and then kick on from there. So I think what I've seen this season is positive progression and hopefully it continues.
Actually,
Jonathan, can I say this here? Leave aside the keyboard warriors, right? The fans in the ground see a lot. And I have to say to you, right, the connection between the team and the fans this year is the strongest I've seen in years. Absolutely years. So, I mean, somebody somewhere is sensing that something's going on. There's something happening at the Arsenal. The dynamic of the team has changed. The age profile has changed. right? And we're gonna cough up awful performances like Nottingham Forest
Yeah.
every now and then.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to take stock of where we are, I just did a mental note because I was assuming Seven Sisters FC would beat us at the weekend if the game went ahead, given that we'd no players, right? I was working off that assumption, and that would have given them a potential 7-point advantage if they won their games in hand, right? Now, they're 2 games in hand that are away from home. You see, they played 10 at home and 8 away. And then I just looked at, you'd be left with, even if you were 7 points behind them, you had a 17 game foot race to the end of the season, right? They still have to go to Man United, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. They still have to go to them places. We've been to all them bar Chelsea. You know?
Being honest, I think the biggest threat, Eamon, is not Spurs. I think it's West Ham to 4th place.
No, West Ham will run out of squad. Trust me.
Do you
West
think
Ham
so?
will run out of squad. Absolutely. I mean, you could see that on Sunday.
I don't know. I think they've got enough there, Eamon. You know, they've had a good season. You know.
Well, now hold on, Jonathan. I'm going to ask
you. I don't see Spurs.
Let me ask you this question. Given your reckless comment about Arteta must walk, we lose the Burnley. Leeds United are struggling badly at the moment, and Leeds United could have beaten West Ham by 5 at the weekend. Because I watched the game.
Leeds are very it's attack minded, isn't it? Like they ship goals. It's we score, you score type. Yeah.
West Ham are really poor. They've no striker, Jonathan. Antonio's a winger, you know.
Yes. I don't know. I just think West Ham are a dark horse. You know, I know they're still in Europe and all, and maybe that might take them away from that. But I still think they're the ones to watch out for. I do think.
Squad. Trust me.
If I can just come in.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
I do think it's important that we don't discount United in this. I don't think United's any good, but they have a lot of individual talent,
absolutely.
and they're going to score goals.
Don't ever mention that name on this show.
but I think honestly, like it is one of those things where you know, to discount any one of those, I think is probably foolish at this point in the season. But what I will say is that you know, one of the big and most promising things that I've seen over the last month or so from Arsenal is we've had a real intent in the way we've played and pressed. And I think if we continue to do that, you know, you're going to continue to see high chance creation because we have serious athletes up front that have paced the burn, real engines to them. You know, Martinelli runs everywhere, Saka runs everywhere, and I think
energy, Eric, energy, yeah,
exactly. And I've been really kind of, I don't know if why it took Arteta maybe so long to get to this point, but I'm looking at the way we're playing now with the real intent and energy, and I think that's where that connection that Eamonn was talking about is really stemming from. Is we're playing with real personality, and to my mind, I think that's the most promising thing I've seen and the most promising development this season, and why I think we have a real chance at top 4 because I think if we continue to play like that, we're going to score goals and give ourselves a shot.
I think as well, Eric, and as well, Eamon and John, it was the New Year's Day game against City. It was the intensity that we started with against City, pushing them back. And I think City didn't think that we'd come out as strong like that. And we did panic them, I think, on the day. And I think that we deserved at least a draw, you know, and maybe even that penalty, obviously, that should have been given on Odegaard. But I do believe that that's the signs of there is something there, you know, to work on against when we come against the big teams, you know. And hopefully we use that with the games against Chelsea, Liverpool and United over the course of the end of the season, you know, and try and match the big teams and show that we have an intent next season that we can challenge for the top 4, you know. So we're all going for a win anyway on Sunday, lads, against Burnley. So that's another optimistic note. On to the January transfer window. Of course, we already know that Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Fionn Balogun, who went to Middlesbrough last week, have left us on loan. And tonight, Seiya Kolasinac has gone on an 18-month loan. And that's probably the end of his career at Arsenal. I don't think anyone really rated him highly, you know. More of a squad player than anything. But as John said earlier on in the show, a few young lads have come back. again, I'm going to throw this out to you. I'll start with Eric since you're not new on this, Eric. Our chances of getting Dusan Vlahovic off Fiorentina, can you see that happening in this transfer window or in the summer, do you think?
It's so hard to tell. It sounds like there's a lot of noise and a lot of agent nonsense happening in the background. So
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to say. I would say it's highly unlikely that we're going to do that in January. It doesn't sound like you know, he's going to move this month from all the sounds that are coming out of his camp. I think, you know, it's potential in the summer, but I think also, you know, there's a good chance that we reevaluate in the summer and potentially go with somebody else. So you know, there's been talk of David from Lille, among others. So Isaac. So I think that there's. I just can't imagine that we're going to shell out 60-70 million in January on the player we want and actually see it move. It doesn't happen very often in January. So I'm hopeful. It'd be nice to see. I think if we could add a striker that's adding goals to the team, it would potentially really put us over the edge for top four. But certainly, you know, as you think about you know, what Lacazette's doing, an upgrade there in terms of goal scoring would be pretty significant, because he's been good otherwise, but he's not taking a lot of shots and whatnot. So if we could add a few more goals to the team from that spot, that'd be great. But we'll see how it plays out.
Eamon, we were saying last week about Fonnor Balogun, a little move to the Championship would toughen him up. Do you think the move to Middlesbrough will do that?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, getting off a bus in Middlesbrough will do that.
Yeah,
No?
yeah. By police escort. Yeah,
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, you know, even looking at the train departures notice board to Middlesbrough. But anyway, I think it will. Well, on Vlahovic, no chance of him coming.
Do you not think so? No.
No, his agents are playing a game. On my information, and I only get the same information as but the ones I watch are Charles Watts and Ornstein.
Yeah.
Arsenal would pay the money in January. They want him. He don't want to come, or else his agents don't want him to come because they see a bigger windfall in the summer when he can go into his golf bag and take a selection of clubs. And he knows who's playing in the Champions League and all of that type of thing. He's not coming. I actually want to be stuck with feeling a bit of sympathy for a post-COVID Aubameyang and trying to reintegrate him into the team or squad. I don't see us getting a striker.
Which is a bit of a loss, right? Yeah, but January's always been a slow window, all right. John, say Kolasinac has moved on to Marseille, of course, tonight. Do you think that's the end of him at Arsenal?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. If it's an 8-game-1 contract, I'd be amazed if he comes back. Good luck to him. You know, he wasn't good enough. End of story. Goodbye. Good luck.
Got him for free.
And again, you know, takes a huge chunk off the wage bill as well. So thanks and very goodbye. Good luck. On the Balogun thing, I think it's a great move for him. Middlesbrough are chasing promotion. They're chasing at the very least the playoff spot. So it won't be just an easy ride. He'll be expected to do things. He'll be expected to contribute. And I think it's a terrific move for him. And hopefully he'll get games. The main thing he has to do is get games, and he has to prove himself now to be better than what they've got at Middlesbrough to get those games. And if he gets those games, I think he's going to come back to us a far, far better player. So that's a great move for him.
Yeah, it's I'm looking, actually, I was looking at Marseille. They were playing Lille there on Sunday night, and Saliba was at the back for them, and I'm really looking forward to him coming back to us. You know, he looks really that move to the loan move at Nice last season and Marseille this season. He's strengthening up nicely. You know, can you see him as a future Arsenal centre back besides White or Gabriel?
Well, I was really disappointed we didn't get to see him last summer. but the loan deal was done really, really early. Everything I've heard says he's definitely going to be back next summer, and he's definitely going to get a chance to prove his worth. So, as I said, I've seen a few of these French League games with Marseille. He has stood out. He has played well.
Yeah.
French League is not the Premier League, but he has played well.
Yeah.
So, I just love to see him play a couple of games. Let's see what he's like in the Premier League. Let's see what he's like against English opposition, and see what he's like against an old school English centre forward. Let's see what he's like against that. Because if he gets into the Arsenal team, he will be targeted. But you won't know until he's actually seen him. I'd love to see him how he do against RQ and that kind of striker. But he's a player I want to see back, because it's very difficult to judge. I mean, it's always saying he's playing brilliant in the French League. Pepe played brilliant in the French League, but he struggled for us. So let's get him in and let's have a look at him,
And they're also moving Pablo Mari on, so that I think that tells you enough.
Space available, exactly.
Yeah, he hasn't played since the Chelsea game back in August, Murray. Yeah, it's just sad, really. It hasn't worked out for him, but another one off the wage bill. Who do you think, lads, is a possibility of coming into us? Can you see any incomings at all?
I think we've gone heavy on Vlahovic. We really have. I think if it goes to the summer, we have no chance of getting him. I agree with Eamonn. I think the agents are playing silly buggers. I think they're looking for the huge, signing fee for themselves, never mind for the player. From what I've read, Fiorentina are willing to do business. Vlahovic is not opposed to the idea to come with Arsenal, but the agents are looking for absolutely ridiculous sums. It'd be interesting to see if that happens. I definitely, if it doesn't happen in January, I just don't see us getting him in the summer. He's the one player I've seen, we've been heavily into it. I know the midfielder from Juventus, Arthur. I don't think we're going to get him unless Juventus get a replacement in. So I like the idea of getting him in on loan. I think we were linked with him when Wenger was in charge, actually bringing him in here from Brazil before he went to it. Player I don't know an awful lot about, but midfield is definitely a spot I'd like to see her strengthen. It'd be interesting to see. We've still got a couple of weeks, but then so is all the other clubs to strengthen. You might see a mad, crazy last week in January.
You see, the closer it gets, Jonathan, to you get over the Burnley game. You see, we've no game then until the middle of February. Till
Wolves on the 10th, that's right, yeah. But I reckon.
Is that when that is? The 10th?
Yeah, that's the 10th. It's on a Tuesday or Wednesday because the FA Cup is the weekend before.
Be back then, and Nenny.
Yeah, Nenny really sends the shivers up the office.
The point I'm making is he's a wage you're paying.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I'm not saying that that's the answer. What I'm saying is that, if you're just looking at getting loan deals and getting you get over Burnley, you have no game for 2 weeks. That's a lot of back.
Yeah, I've forgotten about the break.
Can you see, Eric, anyone coming in before the end of the transfer window?
No. I think
as you're optimistic at best here.
I honestly think if we do anything, it will be either the Vlahovic or Arthur type of signing, because there's been the connection. It just seems like those are getting less and less likely the longer they take. But who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened as you get towards the deadline, but it seems like the odds are certainly stacked against it. And I think that Emma's point is well taken there. Like, at the point that we get through the Burnley match, Xhaka's back, Elneny's back, Partey's back, and then you still have Lokonga. So from a depth standpoint, you're not necessarily going to bring another person in and kill Lokonga's chances to stay in the lineup either. So realistically, I think that you're probably looking at the team basically being what it is. Unless something changes on the striker front. I think that's the likely place that we would make a move if something materializes. It just seems very unlikely that Fiorentina, who's fighting for a European place themselves, is going to just sell their record goal scorer who's scoring basically goals for fun for them, because they're going to get potentially an even bigger fee in the summer. So it just seems to me that it'd be great, and I think we have some intent there, but it just seems unlikely.
Yeah, And all fingers crossed. It'd be a manic 2 weeks, I say, from this week onwards till the January 31st. Just another thing before we wrap up the show. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, he was sent back to Arsenal's medics. He has a heart problem, seemingly. What do you make of that? Do you think that was just to get out of the African Nations Cup, or do you think that could be a serious problem? John?
I was reading an interview with Steve Bruce. Obviously, they had COVID in Newcastle last season.
Yeah.
And he said there was a serious problem with players coming back who got serious bouts of COVID. And that was one of the issues. So this could be serious. It could be nothing. You won't know. I don't think it's going to change his status at Arsenal at the moment. He's definitely out of favour. Might prove it difficult to move him on in the summer if it's true. Time will tell. I hope it's not. For his sake, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But the fact that Gabon, and he is the star player, he's the captain, he's the top scorer in the AFCON, and they're sending him back, it makes you wonder. There must be something going on there. I don't think they'd send him back for no good reason.
Do you think, Eamon, if Vlahovic comes in the summer, all going well, do you think that's the end of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's days at Arsenal?
Well, I don't think Vlahovic is coming in the summer. That's the first thing. I don't think he's coming at all. I think we can forget that name, because he's going to be like what you call him. That was always coming to was Benzema. You know, it's like, you know, he's coming to us every season. You know?
We're going to get him when he's retired.
But I think it's the end of Aubameyang anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think you'd have a better chance of getting Jonathan David now than you would.
Would you take Jonathan David off Lille? Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm not that well greased on him.
Yeah, he had one good season, Eamon, when they won the league, but he hasn't lived up to the heights of.
Well, that's a bit like Gandhi, isn't it? You know, the only Golden Horses. One good movie and he was never heard of again, Gandhi. You know.
You leave Gandhi alone. Eric, do you see Aubameyang gone in the summer?
I think there's a good chance. I think there's a good chance he finds, finds a good place to see out the rest of his career. And one thing I would say is, it sounds like the problem he's having is very similar. The Bayern Munich left back Davies has had similar heart issues following up from COVID. So it sounds like it's one, somewhat of a scary problem. So obviously, hopefully, he gets over it well. But two is it sounds like it's somewhat common with especially with the athletes that are pushing themselves to need time to recover. So I would say that hopefully he's able to integrate back in the squad for the rest of the season. Just if anything, because we need more bodies at this point. But two, I think it seems like his time's up. And it's too bad the way it's sort of fading out, but I could definitely see him taking a move to probably somewhere warmer at the end of the season.
Yeah, his goal scoring record, in fairness, since he joined in 2018 has been incredible enough. He scored a bag full of goals, but this last season and this season, for whatever reason, whether he sees eye to eye with Arteta or not, it just hasn't happened for him. I think he scored 10 or 11, was it, last season? And the previous 2 seasons, he got the golden boot for one of them, and the other season he was in the mid-20s. So maybe it is the end of his career with us. Was there anything Arsenal related or football related, lads, that you'd like to mention before we wrap up?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to mention the all the stick we took for the weekend when we only did what any other club would have done. I think that'll help us, because I think Arteta is creating a siege mentality there, and we like that. George Graham said nobody likes us anyway. They never did. So,
yes,
but I mean, there was no noise about Burnley and Leicester being cancelled. There was no noise about Liverpool. There was no noise about anything. In fact, Tottenham were making noise, and yet they were the first ones to look for cancellation over COVID. Now, I know we didn't have COVID cases, only bar one. But how many players did we play and overplay when we had 5 and 6 COVID cases? We just got on with it, right?
Yeah.
And I thought the Gary Neville bit. Now you see, I was beginning to respect him because I like his views on society and social justice and all that type of thing. I think he's an intelligent boy. But I always knew deep down he was a dickhead, and he proved it at the weekend with his. I should have spoke about this 3 or 4 weeks ago. Well, why didn't you? Why didn't you? Before the Premier League started creating conditions that everybody could jump on the bandwagon. That was the Premier League's fault. What happened at the weekend? I think every team should be made play every game, regardless, right? But that can only apply from the start. You can't change it 4 weeks later. You know. I mean, in my day when I was playing for Leeds United, we used to play in the snow. I looked like a snowman in the white jersey there. It was only Billy Bremner's head looked like the orange ball. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you've got to say the treatment we got at the weekend
disgusting
by Sky Sports and all of this. In fact, hats off to Mikel Richards. He was always an Arsenal fan anyway. But he came out and fighting for him in defence of us, as did Ian Wright, challenging that. But I just thought it was disgraceful. And, you know, I couldn't give a rat's arse how hurt Tottenham were, you know, about that.
Because if the shoe was on the other foot, Eamon, you know.
The Premier League has a problem now, though, because, you see, you can't change now. Having set the standards that it's set, very difficult to change it. The only thing that's going to get the Premier League out of jail on this one is the fact that COVID cases are beginning to nosedive, you know. Other than that, they'd be in shit street for the rest of the season, you know.
There's some backlog of games as well, Eamon, isn't there? There's some amount of games. I don't know how. I can see that maybe even going through the summer.
Yeah.
You know, if it keeps going the way it's going.
I won't go through. No, God, no.
Do you not think it go into June? No.
No, not at all. No, not at all. No. See, Burnley aren't in Europe, so they can play any week.
Yeah,
you know?
any week. Yeah, that's true.
It's only the teams that are in Europe that it causes a problem for.
Yeah. I do agree with you, Eamon. The way they jumped on us, and we've fulfilled fixtures week in, week out when we could have even had them postponed. You know, like
when Wolves cancelled against us on the 28th of December.
Yeah, on the day of the game.
You know, I tell you what, a yoga class was noisier. You know.
Yeah, Michael Dawson jumped on the bandwagon on Gillette Soccer Saturday, saying Arteta should be disgraced and saying that thing. It's why single out us when every club has had the same problem, and it's as Gary Neville saying, if this was 4 weeks ago, you know, like as Eamon said, why didn't he mention this a month ago? Then if he was so concerned about why wait till Arsenal, you know?
Johnny, come up from the Liverpool game. This is Liverpool. All these false positives. No one was complaining about games being cancelled. They weren't happy about it. They understood it. But the minute Liverpool came out and said, we had all these false positives and the game was cancelled. And then after that, that's when the uproar started. No, I'm agreeing with Eamon. I think all the games should have been played ahead. I think we're incredibly lucky that the game was cancelled on Sunday. I'm of the opinion, I'm actually kind of annoyed with Arsenal that we're in this position. It's not like AFCON was a surprise and came out of the corner that no one knew about.
Do you think he should have played the kids, or John, on Sunday? Do you think he should have went after?
The way I look at it, Johnny, is you've got a squad of 25, plus you can use as many young players as you want.
Yeah.
You know, injuries. Yeah, Middlesbrough got docked 3 points and got relegated back in the 90s because
remember that actually, against Blackburn, wasn't it? Yeah.
But
I remember that.
Like Eamon's point, the EFL and the Premier League have basically made an absolute balls of things, and they had no choice but to give Arsenal permission to call the game off. And considering the game against Brentford at the start of the season, when we had 5 or 6 players out injured, coaches galore, players couldn't go training, and the whole world, the grandmothers told them to shut the hell up and go and play the game. You know, the hell with anyone.
But we played through Christmas with 4 and 5 COVID cases, you know?
Exactly, absolutely. So, I mean, you can't have one ruling for others and break it for us. It's just because, I think, because of Liverpool have come out and basically laughed at the whole world. Aha, we got the game cancelled because of all these positives.
Can I just say,
go ahead, Eric. Yeah, what was your take on all that, Eric?
My take is the fact that Spurs are so angry makes it better.
Absolutely. Just to finish, just to finish, there was a great thing. I don't know whether any of you saw it. It was that Jamie O'Hara. Did you see that one?
Yes, I saw that.
That was brilliant. Like, yeah. I don't know whether you saw that, or like Jamie O'Hara, the sports player, giving off stink about the Arsenal, and somebody called Joe just tweeted back saying, "Well, you were actually at Arsenal's academy, but they opted for Cesc Fabregas instead." Yeah.
That was a great one.
Yeah, it's rich coming from Jamie O'Hara. He's playing for Berkeley Town or something in the lower leagues. Yeah.
Anyway,
that wraps up another optimistic show. We're going for an Arsenal all-out win on Thursday and Sunday, so I'm sure things will go against us in both games. As always, you can catch our show on SoundCloud and Spotify tonight, as well as all the previous episodes that we've done. Of course, you can meet up in the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club
for 15 minutes.
In
on
the
Thursday
river.
night.
You can catch the first scintillating 15 minutes of the Carabao Cup second leg and then get fucked out because there's no crack after 8 o'clock in Dublin anymore. Of course, Eamonn and John are always there. So you'll see them for the first 15 minutes, I'm sure, on Thursday. And of course, Eric when he comes back. I'd like to thank, as always, my guests, John Melia, Eamonn Donnelly, and from Stockholm tonight, Eric Shadowens. So thank you tonight, lads, for your analysis and participation. And
okay, Johnny, pleasure.
And we'll catch you all again, all going well, this time next week. So have a good week and enjoy the Carabao Cup second leg.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Back next week, Johnny.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
See you later.